I'm trying to label it different colors according to the Go Deeper so that you can see where the connection is with my notes. Now, my notes, I don't follow, like I did these notes real quick in first period. I don't follow necessarily, okay, what's the first, second, third. I do it all, but then I do it as I'm thinking it. I do it, if that makes sense. Okay, so the context, so the first I said, where's the quote? Now the context. Okay, context was, what color shall we use for context? Brown. No. This is the example too. This is what is the device. Okay, and then context. Let's go, I don't know what colors. I'm starting to run out of colors. Blue. Let's do blue for context. The context right here, it was who they were talking to. Was the U.S. military. It was during the era of the settlers. The people were dying, and we had death happening. Okay, that's the context for this one. The context here is it's postmodernism, which is now. And then another part of the context is that it's the scholars. That's the group that they're talking to, is the scholars. And then they're being isolated. They're not in the canon. They're not in the canon. And another thing for their context is that Native Americans are kind of being treated like they're non-existent in the canon. Canon means classics. So like in the classics, the best literature, that's canon. And so the problem that current Native Americans have is they're being excluded from the canon. Okay, so now let's look at, let's at my thesis and my topic sentence. Let's look at the first sentence. This is my thesis sentence, okay? I said, Native Americans often faced feelings of isolation and annihilation, and therefore are forced to defend themselves by any means. Now, notice in my thesis sentence, I'm including it where it could be anyone. It could be now, it could be previous years. And so how am I already starting to hit my Go Deeper? Again, I said Native Americans often face feelings of isolation and annihilation, and therefore, oh, let me back up a little bit. So let me go through Chief Joseph and see what I wrote for Chief Joseph, okay? So for Chief Joseph, I'm going to use backing, okay? The backing, the specific backing he gave, the device, was that he talked about how the young were dead, there were no blankets, and the people were dying, okay? So that was the specific backing he gave us, okay? The next step is, why use it for the argument? He used it for the argument because he was trying to show that they were kind of hopeless. This was a hopeless situation, okay? And he was trying to show like the evidence that they're forced to acknowledge. He was trying to show we can't fight, we're dying, okay? So that's the second thing, okay? Audience. Who's the audience? The audience was, and you'll notice I'm going through the Go Deeper. I'm using the Go Deeper up here. The audience was the U.S. government, okay? The time period. The time period is the 1800s. It's the settlement era. There was a lot of death happening because of the fighting between the Native Americans and the settlers. The U.S. government. Audience is existing viewpoints. The audience thought of them as a threat. They thought that the Native Americans were going to take over land. They were going to fight them. They were going to kill them. Okay. The next part I have is what was it trying to get them to do as far as the audience? What was his speech trying to get the audience to do? It was trying to get them to acknowledge that they don't want to fight. Trying to get them to acknowledge that they're dying, okay? He was trying to get them to feel pity and sympathy for the situation that they were in. So he's trying to really expose the problem of the death that's happening and the weakness of the Native Americans. And he's also trying to really show them that, you know, come on, have sympathy on us, have pity on us. We don't want to fight with you. You're killing everybody. We can't win this fight. We know that, okay? Now let's switch over. And why do that? Why use backing to get them to acknowledge that they don't want to fight? Why do it? Because he said, dude, you guys think of us as threats. We're not a threat. All our people are dying. Our young are dying. Our old are dying. All our elders, our wisdom, they're dying. So here, showing all of the specific backing of death, he's trying to show, you think of us as a threat, but we're not a threat because we're dead. I can't even find my whole tribe. It's a hopeless situation. We're not a threat. Okay? So by doing that, he's trying to get them to see that. And that's the what effect on audience, and this will achieve the purpose. Okay? You can't fight somebody who's already dying, right? You can't get somebody who's already dying. So it gets the military to recognize, you know what, we're fighting a dying people. Okay? Now, the Bruchac essay. Let's go through the Bruchac essay. The quote that I wanted to use was when he gave all those different pieces of literature. All those pieces of literature as examples. Okay? How is it the device? He gives evidence that there is an oral tradition and there is canon literature, classic literature, that's the same as the Eastern literature. It's the same exact thing, okay? Why use it for the argument? By showing the connection between the previous literatures, as in the Eastern literature that's already like Shakespeare, considered classics, and showing how Native Americans have also had that oral tradition. He's showing we're doing a good job too. We're doing the same kind of stuff, okay? The next one, the audience. Who's the audience? The audience is the scholars that are the dominant group. He wants writers and scholars, students that are the dominant group that are saying, hey, Shakespeare's the best, and pointing all that. He's trying to show them that it's good stuff too. The next one, time period, is postmodernism. That's right now. The audience's existing viewpoints is that the Native Americans are non-existent. Native American literature doesn't exist. That's what he's saying, the audience's existing viewpoints. That's what he thinks they think. What's it trying to, intended effect on audience? Is it trying to get them to think, feel, or do? It's trying to get them to think. It's trying to get them to accept the fact that Native American literature should be part of the canon because it has the same good writing, same classic traditions. Okay. The next one, what effect on audience in this way will achieve the purpose? By getting them to acknowledge that there's a connection between great literatures like Shakespeare in the past and Native Americans, scholars or canon people will not be able to argue that Native American literature and Native American writers do exist, and they shouldn't be alienated. They shouldn't be left out. So let's go back. Thesis sentence. And I'm going to stop talking as much because I can see that you're getting that glazed over look on your faces like, kind of paying attention. Not really. Because she's recording this, but what can you not do when you rewatch these recordings?
Ask questions.
Right, ask questions. So now's the time when you can ask those questions. So the thesis sentence. Native Americans often faced feelings of isolation. Who am I talking about right there? Feelings of isolation. How am I talking about both groups? Isolation. I'm left out. I'm not connected.
Because the Bruchac one means people think that Native American authors don't exist.
Yeah, the Bruchac essay says people think Native American authors don't exist. I'm being left out there. How is Chief Joseph also showing isolation?
Because they're all dying and nobody will listen to them.
Yeah, they're all dying. No one's listening to them. No one's helping them. Okay? And then let's go to the next one. Feelings of isolation and annihilation. Annihilation means you're being wiped out. How do we see that both groups are being wiped out?
In the Chief Joseph one, you can see that they're killing them, and they're wiping out their tribe. And then in the Bruchac one, you can see the results of that, and everybody thinking that they don't exist anymore.
Good. So in here, they're being wiped out because they're actually physically dying. In this one, they're literally dying as far as literature concerned. They're figuratively dying. The literature doesn't exist. Good. Okay? And therefore are forced to defend themselves by any means. How did both of them defend themselves? What device did I say I was going to point to? Backing. They're defending themselves by giving specific examples that we do exist and we should be acknowledged. Okay, now let's look at topic sentence. While Chief, wait, look away. What is that right there? That flag over there. What is that flag? You're not looking away. Everybody look at the flag. Now look at the flag. We're all looking at the flag. Okay, looking at the flag.
What are we doing?
Quit looking at what I'm doing. I see the giggling. You're still looking at the flag. What does the flag look like?
Which one?
What color is the Maryland flag?
Wait. Do I stop?
What color is the Maryland